All right, folks, can you hear me? Is this too close? Are we doing good? Guys, I want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, we'll get some hands-on activities here in just a little while. I was really happy to see that we had chairs and not just tables because hopefully by the end of this session we're going to be playing with some robots. The online version, it's just when they do the Sphero, I'll show you where they can click. All right, quick little survey. What we're going to do is we're going to do a fist to 5, right? 5 means I am totally knowledgeable and I could teach this myself. But the key is you got to hold your fist to 5 right here because we don't want to influence other people. So that if she holds up a 5 and she holds up a 5, then she's going to look at it and go, oh man, I'm a fist and I'm going to feel really bad about that. So for example, if I were asked how knowledgeable am I about Taylor Swift, Caroline, however, she's like leader of the fan club. But if we look at a band like Guar, which you guys probably don't even know, I would probably be a 5. Caroline would be a 0, all right? So your question is this. How familiar are you with block coding? Got some 2s, 3s, a couple 1s, a couple fists. Do I have any 5? I got a 5. Nice. So you might be helping us out here in a little while. That'd be nice. That's the way it goes. Well, I would like to tell you that Caroline and I both, when we started the unit we're getting ready to teach you guys, we had no knowledge whatsoever. Completely zero. When they said, we want you to teach this unit, we were like, all right, let's just do the thing.
We're English teachers.
Yeah, we're English teachers, so if that tells you anything. And now I have a robot sitting on my kitchen table, much to the chagrin of my wife. So by the end of this session, you guys are going to participate in, you're going to understand the basics of our Rescue Robots PBL. And then you are going to program an autonomous robot to run a disaster scenario. I would love to let you do it on my student examples up here, but they took a pretty bad hit in the car. And we'll have to do a little fixing by when we return. So a little bit about us. Like we said before, we're English teachers at South-Doyle High School. My name is Chad Hensley. This is Caroline Daugherty. We teach English. I teach English 4. I teach AP English, Science Fiction. Caroline, English 2, Honors English 2. And, of course, we both have a STEM 1 Foundations course where we get a bunch of freshmen. Now, our high school is a bit odd. It is 88 acres, stretches across our campus. How many buildings do we have? Like 7 different buildings. It looks a lot like a community college. If you can imagine, there's a bridge going over a road, and we have roughly 300 freshmen changing classes back and forth every. You can imagine how well that goes. We have roughly 1,200 students. We're the only high school south of the river in Knoxville, and so we've got inner city. We've got suburban kids. We've got kids with gigantic houses on the river itself. And then we've got extremely rural kids that come from farming families, pretty low income. So it's an odd mixture of students, but oddly enough, they really get along well. It's pretty cool. So in the 21-22 school year, this year, we decided to implement a STEM 1 Foundations course, and that's where every single freshman takes a STEM class, and they are rotated every 9 weeks to a different unit. And our unit was robotics. With virtually no experience whatsoever, other than what we did in one little summer training with some micro bits, we jumped in and we developed a 9-week PBL that we're getting ready to share with you guys that teaches the kids the foundations of coding to get some of the terminology kind of locked in there without a lot of the stress. And there's still a little bit of stress involved, but it's not unbearable. It's not unbearable. You want to take over?
Yes. So with our PBL, we start with robots as first responders, and that's like the premise of our PBL. And so we wanted to get that to that empathy stage. So the Rescue Robots PBL is based on Robin Murphy at Texas A&M's College of Computer Science, and she talks about how we could save so much more money if we were able to get to victims faster in these disaster scenarios, and especially thinking about what happened in Florida this past summer and everything. And we often forget about this as soon as after it happens, and we don't think about how we can use robots as first responders. Oh, you have the clicker. So we start with the empathy part, with talking about robots and their science fiction roots. We're English teachers, so of course we want to get into that. And so we talk about Isaac Asimov and his code, or his the three laws of robotics. And then we compare that to Boston Dynamics laws of robotics.
Their principles of ethics, or their ethic principles, almost are like word for word drawn from Asimov's three laws of robotics. It's really, really, really interesting because they were going out of their way to make people comfortable with robots. Because when we think robots, what's the first thing we think of? Terminator. I mean, I watch it like a documentary. And I'm teaching robotics. I'm a little fearful, but I love them just the same. You just gotta embrace your computer overlords and be done with it, right?
So after that empathy stage, we kind of define the problem and we talk about how we need autonomous robots to get to victims in disaster scenarios. And they do a little research into that and like research robots and specific.
Scenarios. If you get a chance, if you're interested in doing this, check out Robin Wright's stuff. She's got some fantastic TED Talks. She's got some YouTube videos that are phenomenal. And she really is like the penultimate of this work that's going on right now. And it really is a field that is starting to grow. So if you're an investor, sink some cash.
Yeah. And ultimately, what we have our students do is they have to learn how to code. And we spend a long time just teaching them how to code with a lot of inquiry. And they have to, number one, design a disaster scenario. And then they have to be able to autonomously code. So here is an example, one of those. And they all fit together. So there are different parts. We'll go over that in just a minute. But they have to code out of these. And there's different obstacles. So they have to have their like Sphero, like if they encounter fire, like stop and say, fire, oh no, and code like blue to put out the fire. And they have to have different obstacles. And ultimately, they have to be able to do that. And then they have to, in a written narrative, that can look like a newspaper article. This could look like a video of them like being a newscaster and talking about their scenario. So it can look a lot of different ways. And they often have to 3D print an obstacle. Oftentimes, in fact, this last iteration, we had a kid completely make their maze with 3D printing and Tinkercad.
Yeah, he did all of his walls with it's like a laser cutter where they cut the wood out. Yeah, CNC machine. It's really, really, really interesting because he's one of the robotics kids, so he really knows what he's doing. He's definitely a 5. He could probably teach the class better than I can. And what's really neat about this is they have to use their research, everything that we've done or they did independently, in this written document that embraces the specific elements that they have created in their specific scenario, which is really fun. And you're handing freshmen a bunch of hot glue guns, so that's really fun too.
Yeah.
You know, rule number 1: the end is really hot, and I always have at least one that gets burned, but that's okay. No scars.
So our scenario, our disaster scenario is a tornado has hit a rural town, and there are survivors trapped in the city hall, and we have a series of mazes that the robot has to get to the survivor in city hall and rescue them. So it's treacherous, there's debris. We brainstorm all of the different variables that the students will have to encounter with their robot and what that might look like.
So our goal for the thing is they have to design a complex disaster scenario and program an autonomous land robot. You have to stress the autonomous part because Spheros are really, really fun, just little remote control cars as well. So I put the law down, like if I catch you driving your remote control car around, I'm going to take it away and you get no points for that day. So most of them are pretty good about it. But the whole point of this, we want to teach them coding, right? We don't want to do it in a fun way so they can engage with it, but we definitely have to focus on the autonomous part. And so they're supposed to, with the intention of locating a disaster survivor as quickly and efficiently as possible. And sometimes they're not too efficient, but they get the coding nonetheless.
And again, this is happening in 9-week iteration because we have a unit like there are 4 units, so we only have them for 9 weeks to do this PBL, and then we start it all over. So we've gotten better and better at this as we've gone along and learned so much about coding. Now I feel like actually know something about coding. The first time we taught it, we were like,
Yeah. Well, So when we do our thing, we bust the students into teams of 5 teams of 3. We generally have about 15 to 16 kids in each of our rounds. Caroline and I often team up, so we have 30 freshmen in kind of a communal space. So Group A, Team A would be the town road, blocked roadway, debris, whatnot. And I really let them kind of brainstorm this. I had one girl that said, can I put a volcano in mine? And I was like, would there be a volcano in a rural town? And she goes, actually, I knew you were going to ask me that. She pulled up some documents about how there's like a fault line somewhere in middle America. And I was like, all right, man, build a volcano. Let's do it. Why not? Then we have the town square. This blocked pathway, there's structural damage. And then City Hall, there's exterior structural damage, and some parts are still ablaze. The students have to navigate that. And then Team D is interior, and then Team E is interior structural damage with a survivor. So the goal is to get all the way through the maze to find the survivor. That is ridiculously hard.
Why 5 scenarios?
Just because I had 15 students. And actually, with this particular class right now, they're all just doing interior. And we're trying something new where we just kind of have an exit and an entrance. And we're going to just put them up in different ways and then have multiple victims/survivors to use the communication piece on Sphero Bolts, which is really, really cool. But it's kind of hard to do. It broadcasts really widely, so you can't have too many messages going on at once, or the survivor will just be found automatically. So when we set these things up, what we do is we model it for the students. So we start with, we have to say you have to have a minimum of 4 obstacles and 1 victim, right? Now you notice that one of these obstacles is a shark. My last round, one of the students said, oh, Mr. Hensley, have you ever seen Sharknado? And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I have. And he goes, so, I said, if you can convince everybody in the class then that sharks are going to be one of our obstacles, by all means, let's do it. And of course, that was not a hard sell. So we tried to 3D print the sharks, and they went woefully, horribly awry. So I just went to Walmart and bought some for $1 a piece. And when you look up here, you'll see each of these has a shark in it. So we've got a down tree, we've got some fire, we've just got some random debris, and then of course we've got a shark and then our victim. The next thing we have to do is we kind of got to chart out our walls. One of the big things, you got to make sure that you have boundaries on the outside, because the Spheros are well known for going off course, particularly when you're trying to get your code down right. And then, after you get your walls and kind of your pathway laid out, we've got to put commands. And this is where the students have to figure out what they want the Sphero to do to interact with the obstacles. So we get to this point, they build a prototype, and then, with this iteration, they move to the cardboard phase, and it's what was it was a Vibrobot, I think it was our last session, where you build a really, really cheap robot. This is anything and everything we could find, we hot glue down on this thing. So once again, lots of cardboard, lots of hot glue guns, just random junk that I bought at the dollar store, which is now the $1.25 store. Not that I'm salty, but so the kids build that stuff, and then they go to coding, right? They have to code their thing first, their own section first, and then somebody else has to code their section, and they have to code somebody else's. Eventually, we put the whole thing together, and we see if anybody can code the whole maze. And I think we've had 2 maybe do it, accomplish it. It's a really, really tough feat.
Yeah, we have we have 45 minutes with each class period, and sometimes our classes compete against each other. I think my class is doing better this time around.
Yeah.
But normally it's Hensley's class, so we'll see. So they compete against each other when they're creating their maze at the end to see who can code fastest.
So with that being said, let's get you guys coding some robots. What I recommend you do is just do it on, if you have a smartphone, just go to the App Store and just go to Sphero EDU. It's a free app. You can delete it when you get out of here. You can also pull it up on your computer, but you have to go to the App Store and load the app on your computer. You can't just do it from spheroedu.com. For some reason, it won't work. If you're on a Chromebook, you can just add the extension. But it has to come from the app in order to...
I recommend doing it on your phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have your students do it on their phones?
No, yeah. Well, here's the thing: is we've got iPads as well. So like if a kid doesn't have his computer, we go to the iPad. If they can do it on their phone, if that's like a last resort, but you imagine like they're coding half the time, the other time they're in the corner making TikToks, and that's just what they do, Like Caroline makes TikToks all the time.
Oh yeah.
She's TikTok elite over here. Jim Allen, you making TikToks? I love it. Everybody find the app all right? Now, when you get in, wrong one. When you get in, you can join class with a code, and here's our class code. It's 8JTDWY, W, like our former president, W. Oh my, what's your favorite president, Dr. Fultz? If you'll give me a thumbs down for anybody that's struggling, I'll help you out real quick. You don't have to broadcast it. Oh, you're already in? Well, then you're fine then. You're fine. You don't have to join up. I just thought it'd make it easier for everybody else to join in.
Does anybody still need the code?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, so you should be able to get back in and you can access your stuff. So I just basically made a class. We each have our classes that our freshmen will come in each 9 weeks. I make a new class, and that kind of lets me control them a little bit, and they can share code with one another, which is kind of cool. So if somebody has a code built for this scenario and it works really well, then they can share it with somebody else, and then they can link theirs together and hopefully get the Sphero to run through. Spheros are not terribly consistent, so that's kind of a problem. Particularly when you're doing some complex mazes. If you program it to go at speed 100 for a duration of 2 seconds at a degree of 0, it will not stop at the exact point every single time. It varies just a little bit, and there's not much we can do about that. All right, when you are in, go to programs, and what you want to do is you just want to create a brand new program. I believe on the phone it's just a plus sign. And what you're going to do is when you click at create a program, it's going to open up a canvas.
Yeah, and it's Sphero Bolt.
And you're going to see this right here. Now, if you are at the house, if you're virtual, hey, virtual people, what you're going to want to do is click the virtual bot. And unfortunately, you won't have the same kind of commands as we'll have here with the Sphero Bolts. Sphero Bolts can do all kinds of things. They can speak. They can send messages. They can turn colors. Just the regular Sphero does not do that. They just pretty much roll and spin and stuff like that. So if you're in a house, what we want to do is we want blocks. We want Sphero Bolt. Make sure you click Sphero Bolt because that's half the stuff we do is with the Bolt because it has a whole lot more sensors and stuff. And when you're done, you can just click Create. And that will open up your canvas. Now, here are all the commands that you have with a Sphero Bolt. You've got movements, lights, sounds, controls, operators, where you kind of you modify values, which is kind of fun to do. Comparators, you would set things equal, less than, greater to. That's really good to use with a lot of the sensors. Communications is my favorite part. That's where the robots talk to one another. It's kind of like your TV remote. They send an infrared signal. I think they have a total of 7 different messages, I believe. Yeah. So you can have different teams. We run a relay race with our students using the communications. It's really, really fun. Then you got events, which is like on collision. What are some of the other ones?
Some of the events is like some of the communication events, like
when message received and stuff like that, yeah. And then you got variables and functions. Now, all of these commands are at the bottom of your app. So if you look at the bottom of that app, you'll see them down there, and you can kind of scroll through. You'll have, just, like I said, movements, lights, and sounds. That's pretty much what we're going to use today, unless you get pretty far along. And then we'll help you with events and some communication things if we find a victim. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to start with movements. So what we want you to do is just take the movement block. We're going to do a simple roll. And you're just going to drag it up, and you see where it looks like a key. If you're not familiar with block coding, everything is shaped in its own little way. So if it's a key, you just stick it up in like the keyhole in the lock, and it'll just lock into place. Now, when you're moving, there are 3 variables that you have to contend with. Number 1 is degrees, and this is the direction of the movement. And what's really, really cool is after you aim the Sphero, it locks these degrees in place. So a 90 degree is always going to be a 90 degree. It's always going to make a right turn. And a 270 is always going to make a left turn. Regardless of where it's at in your maze, once it's set, it's set. And that makes it a little easier to navigate. It also teaches kids a little bit about geometry, and if you're, one of our other sessions mentioned playing pool with the Spheros, that makes it kind of fun too. The second variable is speed. You go from 0 to 255. I generally try to talk the kids into sticking at about a 100, because 255, when they first get them, they go, I'm going to go 255 for 10 seconds, and then zoom, that thing's like out in the hallway, and we got to go track it down. The last one is duration, which is just the amount of time that it's going to roll, right? So what you want to do now is you want to set yours. We want it to go straight, so we're going to set it at 0 degrees at a speed of roughly 100. It's going to be really hard on your phone to get the exact number of 100. It will let you type it in. Sometimes it will. Like on their Chromebooks, it won't. On my computer, it won't. And then a duration of 1 second. We're just going to make a short little movement. Now, with the number of participants we have 5 Spheros plus 8.
Yeah, we can have, everybody can have a partner.
All right. If you guys are willing to partner up with somebody or work in a trio, once you get a code, you can come on up and let's get some Spheros, and then let's just start messing around with these things.
Make sure your Bluetooth is on your phone.
What's that? You sharing? Just come on up.
Yeah, just come on up and we'll get you a Sphero.
Sphero.
Let me make sure it's on.
So if you hit start, it's going to open up, and we're going to connect to the bolt. And it's going to say there's one available. So you just pick one that looks like she's got a good thing. And it should turn purple, and that one will be yours. So that one's yours.
Yes, that's the one I wanted. That's awesome.
All right.
Right in the middle. All
That's
right.
perfect,
So-
perfect.
So we're gonna start.
No, you're going to click this. It's a allow. Sphero Bolt. And then we're just going to click one of them.
Hey, Davidson, how many people we have online?
And it should turn purple.
10? Okay, so hopefully the virtual thing works.
And it's yours.
Okay. It's so
There you
limited,
are.
but it's,
You're welcome.
All right, so what you guys want to do is you're just going to hit start
Here you are.
when you get up here.
Welcome.
And it's going to say which type of bot do you want. So hit start, and you'll select the bolt.
Yep.
And then it'll pop up. So once he grabs his, then you can click whichever one you want.
Okay.
And then it'll turn purple over here.
Mr. Davidson, where are the extra bolts?
Oh,
They're under the table.
see if there's a purple one down there.
Look at. Do you see one flashing crazy?
Okay, so just click on one with lots of,
There he is.
and it should turn purple.
Sorry.
No, sir.
There you are.
I like your
There you
shoes.
are. You're
All right, so you just hit start, and then click the bolt. Yep. And then you just pick one that's got to be good. Walk over here and see if we can get a good signal on it.
So you're gonna click Sphero Bolt, and
And then
then
just pick one that should turn
once
purple.
she's done, I'll get you.
See one turn purple, and that was yours. There he is.
And then let's just click on one of these, and then it should connect and turn purple.
I could probably do these over here. Let me
It should figure
make sure
itself
these over
out.
here.
Let me make sure.
Here, you guys come over here. All right, hit start.
Oh, sorry.
You're all right.
Start.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's
Select bolt.
funky. Select.
The Sphero bolt.
Oh, Sphero Bolt.
And then we're going to finally hit that guy right there and see what
Okay,
it
let's
does.
try it again.
You should theoretically turn purple. There you are.
Perfect. Okay. So just a little.
That's your robot. Just make sure I get it. That's actually not yours. It belongs to the Sphero people. Yeah, just select one,
Let's see which one I get.
and it should turn purple. There he is. All right.
Hit start.
Yeah, hit start. Select Sphero Bolt.
Go over there and see if you
Is
can
your
figure out
Bluetooth on?
those bolts.
Oh, you have to turn on
Maybe
Bluetooth first.
It's just a bolt. All right.
Because they work via Bluetooth.
Yeah. Click on this. Click Sphero bolt,
Nope.
and then we'll pick one,
Bluetooth connection.
and then
It's on.
it should
Okay,
connect.
you're good to go.
Turn purple once
Close.
it connects. There you are.
Why is it?
There.
Go to settings.
Yep.
It should be
Now you can
on.
go play.
Yeah.
And you'll click Start Program once you figure out your code, and it'll run that program. You can also loop it, so it can go over and over again.
Select Bolt.
Go click here.
Is this supposed to be like something that I need to connect?
Just
No,
click on one
it
with
should
The
just be
Bluetooth is
on.
bars.
Yeah.
Just pick one.
And then here you go.
And one should turn purple down here. There it is.
Let's just click
That
on
was
these
yours.
Bars.
Lady in the purple shoes, looking for a purple bot.
Was it
And
connecting to the
click
ones
Sphero
over
bolt.
here? Oh,
And then we'll just click on one with some bars, or
Let's go see if there's a purple one over there.
one. And then it should connect and turn purple.
I believe it is. Did you get it figured out? Outstanding,
Says
good.
connected.
That's all right. I think that was yours.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe this one. Hit hit start on your.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yep, this is his.
All right, so I just click on this.
Yep.
Does everybody have one?
Where
So
am I?
there are lots of cool things after you click movement. Experiment with lights, experiments with sounds. You can add sounds, and there are loops. So if you want it to go do something over and over again, you can do that. We're about to have you guys code out of a maze in just a minute. So just experiment for a little bit, and we're going to have you code out of a maze. It might be off. Let me see it. So when it does that, you just have to like...
No. Well, maybe. Yeah. Oh.
Start.
Huh? I did.
Maybe if this one isn't yours.
Yeah.
Start over.
I,
Yeah. You click. You have to click this right here, Sphero Bolt, and it looks for a robot. And then you just click on one.
bring it back up here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, one of the best things when you get to this scenario is going to be sharp turns. So there's another movement thing that you can add in. Another movement
There.
command.
Okay.
It's just
Now,
spin.
see if it does it now. Once
And
you.
what we want to do is we want to drag the spin in your code up there and have it spin in whatever degree that you're. Oh gosh,
you have to add it
stupid
to
microphones.
Start.
Sorry, people in
Here you
the
go.
virtual world. Oh, I've got it. I just don't
drag
like
it. Go on,
microphones.
start.
Sorry. So we're going to spin 180, which will be backwards. And then we want to have another movement command that travels at that same degree, right? Remember the Sphero, once we aim it here in just a second, it's going to remember those degrees. So we're going to drag spin up, put the heading at 180, duration 1 second, and then drag another movement block up. And the Sphero is going to work kind of like a recipe, right? It's going to do the first thing, then the second thing, and then the third thing. So your movement is going to travel at 180 this time, a degree of 180. And theoretically, when you hit start, your robot should travel in a straight line, turn around, and then travel straight back to its original location. What's our time?
Yeah, it's 138. It ends at 145.
Okay.
Do you want me to go ahead and get this out?
Yeah. Now we're going to start handing out your disaster scenarios. What you are going to see is a maze. I don't believe there are any sharks on it, unfortunately. When you get your maze, the first thing you're going to want to do is aim your robot. And what you have to do when you aim your robot is you have to make sure that the blue dot, after you hit aim, it's the top right-hand corner of the screen. You hit aim, he'll get a little blue dot on him. And you want the blue dot the opposite direction that you want it to travel. I like to tell my kids it's his little blue butt. You got to stick his blue butt. I was worried about that. Yeah, I was worried about that when I rolled them up and put them in the car. You, just because you're a high flyer. You're a 5. You said you're a 2. Thank you, sir. Did you get me a good parking spot? They're going wonky. Let me take a look at your code. All right, so what you got here, right? So what you have is it's rolling straight. It's rolling straight, right? So it's going to roll at 0 degrees. If you look up here, you've got it rolling at 0, and then spinning here, but then rolling back to 0. So if you just move 90, it's going to spin and make a right turn. Both. You want to spin to that degree and roll at that degree. Because it's correcting itself and trying to go back straight.
I don't need to say anything. So we don't have a whole bunch of them printed. So if you're in a group and you don't have a disaster maze, go ahead and share with another group. It's okay. Thank you. Does anybody need one? Anybody need a disaster maze? You can use it. Yeah, thank you. So aim first. No. No, they don't break easily. They are very durable. We have used these through lots of freshmen. How much do they cost? Do you know, Matthew?
How is Sphero's, they have class, like you guys created this. Nice job. Do they have the Sphero, like when you buy a $2,000 kit, do they give you classroom curriculum? Let's do that.
There are like block codes made for like how to build a game and how to like we did that the first iteration and we didn't like it as much. So what we built and what we can share it with you is we just started off with lights, movements, and sounds, just like what we're trying out today. And we're like, okay, and then we have a big area, and then we add like cones. Be like, can you get to the cone and back so it's accurate? Can you go around the cone? Can you do this? And so we just keep on adding it, where we add more codes at the top every time, and then we compete. We do a Sphero Olympics at the end before we do the disaster maze. So there's different stations that we set up in the library, and like one of them's like Rainbow Road, where it has all of the colors of the rainbow, and it has to change color during each part. And then one of them, it's like they have to. No, it has to be autonomous. Yes, and they have to code it. And then one of them's like ice skating, where they have to make shapes, where they have to code it, and they. So this is a great pathway to STEM. We have a robotics. Most of them go into a lot of them are gone into STEM and gone into different classes afterwards. This is my first year. Yeah, this is all of our first year. We've tried it out. I didn't know anything about coding. We were like, we don't know, because Chad and I are just English teachers, and then we figured it out by the end of it. So it's fun. What I found works. Give them a challenge and then release them, and then they have to do it, and they help each other. Yeah. So that's what most of it looks like.
Some student will always rise to the top and train the other. I think that's the best way.
So that's what we mainly do when we teach them how to code.
Facilitate them to learn.
Yes. And we've been adding more and more, and then we have the Sphero Olympics where we compete against the other
How does this change your standard English classroom? Your knowledge of like the STEM space?
I guess
At all?
it just makes me more open-minded to what I can do with Spheros, and especially with we're in the video game one session. like adding like coding to make stories is really interesting, and yeah, and it's just so interesting. Thank you. Were you able to do it?
Not autonomously, no. I'm not. My brain's not working.
Yeah.
Are you challenging me to try?
Yes, I am. Just try. It's fun. It's.
I will try. I will try.
How are you guys doing?
Yes, or in quotations? I don't think so.
You don't have a tree.
And wait.
I'll go sit over here. Is it going
Well,
okay?
I had it and then I forgot to save it, so.
Oh, it should save.
Oh, well.
You should go. You should be able to go to your other programs. It should be like It should auto save.
Alright, go back at the beginning.
But it's not facing the right way.
Thank you for your help. Oh. But it's whatever the closest. Oh, okay.
See that second move command, you've got the direction 0, so that's why.
So it's still gotta be 90.
Oh.
So if anybody doesn't have a map.
And we need more seconds. Would y'all agree?
Is this thing on? Yep. If anybody doesn't have a map, you're welcome to come up here and try to code through my students'
I think I've kind of.
maze.
So once you make that 90-degree turn,
A little more 3D.
I actually had mine do set up a maze like this, but it's not. It's just one.
Oh, yeah. And like knock them down.
Fire hose, some handlebars on the top of each pin.
That's awesome. Do you have it do anything on collision?
No.
Oh, little ones? Yeah. But you could say, I mean, because the on collision is just one event key, and you could just have like on collision, like say whoopee or something, you know, to that point. Yeah, yeah.
So the website is.
Oh yeah, I imagine. I mean, my freshmen are squirrely, so we've got to figure out, say, they all got messed up. So this is move rocks.
I just want this piece. I want this piece out.
It's just trial and error. Yeah. You've got to kind of. That's one of the things I start off with is how long does it take, or how for what speed and duration to go 1 foot and then go 3 feet, and then we got to kind of pare that down to inches for this. Yeah. You can put a float in there, and we get into more complex stuff with integers and floats with a lot of the sensors. We play like a zombie apocalypse game where we have to cure people. It's really fun. But you have to have them move at random. How's it going? See, they were smart because they glued theirs down. Oh no. Yes. The tree has been removed. Is that? Would you go back to 270? Yeah.
So what do I need to do? So
Well,
can you put -90 just to turn?
well, no. Here's the thing. It always remembers your degrees, right?
Right.
So if you just keep that in mind, that here's your Sphero.
So now it's facing at 0.
No, it's always that is set. It's going to remember that.
Zero's always here.
So
It's always,
0's there.
always
So
there.
I need to
So you probably want to go maybe like a 350.
Oh, okay, so put it
So you got 350 to pull it right there.
So what?
put it at 350.
And that's one thing is I do with the students. I give them like a cheat key and say, look, it's
just
always
right
going to
on.
be
You're
this.
just
You just
doing it
look
right
at
there.
this and you're going to.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
There are county budget. Title one.
Look at that. Perfect.
All right.
Now we got to go down to the debris field.
Ask them to like bring them up.
Yep.
Or just ask whoever got it from the bag to take it back to the bag.
Yes.
Yes. Just try and not forget
Yes.
to do that.
All right, everyone. Ooh, that's really loud. So if the person who got the Sphero would bring it up. If you got it from this bag over here, if you'd bring it back to the bag, and then if you'd bring up your Sphero and your maze.
You can keep the maze.
Yeah, you can keep the maze. You can keep them. They're yours.
Souvenir. Hang it on your fridge.
No, not the Sphero.
Yeah, if you got it from the black bag, please bring it back to the black bag because
Yeah,
those
if
belong
you got
to
yours
Sphero.
from the black bag, please bring it back to the black bag. You can just set them in there. Thank you. Yes, we do this every time. Their names. I feel like that was books because I have all my books displayed and I have fewer books.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Did you get it from
Thank
the
you.
bag or, okay, cool. Thank you.
Did you get it from the black bag? Yes. Lovely. Thank you.
It's okay. Did you get it from the bag or did you get it from? Awesome. Thank you.
All right, if you guys would like any of our materials whatsoever, it's Google slideshows. I can send you a JPEG of this map that I printed out on our poster
And
printer.
we have stuff built for how to teach coding. A lot of it is
here.
like we give them some conditions and we're like, just try it out. So get it to the cone and back. Make it do a square. At the end, we do Sphero Olympics in the library where they compete against each other with different stations. My class won this past time
Get it from
around.
the
That's
bag.
before we do the coding for the disaster scenario. So we have everything built for that. So if you guys are interested in that as well, just let us know. Are we missing any Spheros?
No, we've got two that belong in the bag. We don't know which ones they are. So maybe they'll just give us all 8 of them. Yeah, no, there's 6 in the bag, but there's 2 extra over there. So we got that going for us. We didn't lose any. Silver linings, Mr. Davidson, silver linings.
Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
It is STEM, but the English 9-10 standards and even the 11-12 standards, they have a narrative component. That's one of the things that's kind of easy to teach and also a little bit difficult to teach. So we kind of reinforce that quite a bit, and it kind of fits the unit so well. Number 2, research standards, having kids do like online research, and having them incorporate that into their narrative, which is part of the Tennessee standards.
And we go over science fiction writers and like the laws of robotics and how science fiction writers thought about robots way before we had them. So we go over that and talk about literature that incorporates that as well.
That was a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Anybody else have a question? Well, thank you guys so much. Let us know if you have any questions. Please email us if you need anything. We'd be glad to share. Thank you.
Thank you.